Come on, buddy, it's patch day. We got 12 hours to kill. Let's go check the news. Surprise, surprise, said no one. Let's get into it. Patch 10.1.5 is here, and with it a bunch of Guardian changes, pushing the class as well as the spec in a positive direction. For continuity, I'll be showing you all of the changes on screen, but because no one likes long videos, I'll only be going into detail on what are the more important changes, and lastly cover how the talent trees reflect these changes, presenting you with a base sitting and flag carrying build. Starting off with the general druid changes, we have the new talent Rising Light, Falling Night, which increases your damage and healing by 3% during the day and 2% versatility at night. On paper, this spell sounds great, but it's honestly a bit niche for Guardians in my opinion, especially since I largely play at night, and would be looking at giving up renewal, and as the current stat priorities sit, I'm in no need for additional verse due to diminishing returns. Albeit during the day I can see it being used depending on the composition and map. The problem just remains that it's too deep in the tree for normal play, as it has taken improved Sunfire's previous location. Moving on to Guardian specifically, we see a lot of quality of life changes, although I won't be surprised if nerfs come from these. With these changes we have a huge improvement to innate resolve, which now also increases the healing based on the missing health. We also see all ability damage increased by 6%, Maul no longer being replaced by Raise, and it does technically say Untamed Savagery increases the maximum thrash stacks by 1 per rank, however on live it's Flashing Claws. Pulverize switches node locations with Rend and Tear. Connections have been added from Incarnate Convoke to Raise and Rage of the Sleeper, which is a huge improvement. Dream of Cenarius is also moved to row 2, and lastly Thorns moved to row 6. As you can see here, a lot has changed from the previous patch, with the Guardian tree opening up flexibility between physical and arcane branches. Wrapping up the patch changes, we have Field Medic's Hazard Payout, now containing Medal of Conquest, which is a bind on account item that rewards you 30 conquest, and the drop rate has been increased on Medals of Honor. Finally, totems are also being changed so you can apply dots to them. Moving on to talent tree builds, last video I was informed by some on the Dream Grow to not overcomplicate it, as the majority of people just want a plug and play build. So that's what we are going to do, and you will find the import strings for these builds in the comments below. That being said, if you have questions or are curious about adjustments based on the composition, drop me a comment and I'll be happy to assist. Looking first at the left side on this base sitting build, not much has changed, with the focus points being on Astral Influence for additional range while sitting, remove Corruption if they have a rogue, and Cyclone as well as Hibernate depending on your map approach. Now where it does get interesting is on the right side of the tree, as we see huge changes due to moving away from the arcane side to favor increasing our damage and rage generation. Although the arcane side is still applicable, the changes with Galactic Guardian and the realistic nature of only having your base hit by a couple players allows the player more damage throughput by taking the physical path of the tree. Turning to carrying the flag, the left side of the tree changes little, with Remove Corruption and Astral Influence being your primary flex points for well-honed instincts. Or even if you don't anticipate needing Boomkin, you can go further into the Feral tree for more movement speed via Feline Swiftness and Tireless Pursuit. On to the right side, similar to base sitting, we see a lot of changes as well. Once again, we are moving away from the arcane side and playing into our patch buffs, as they allow us the benefits of what was once the no karm build while keeping Incarnation. Now this does have us dropping after the Wildfire, which is a big AoE heal for your allies, but it also has a 12-yard range, so generally speaking, if you're kiting as you should and be able to, the benefit here should be negligible based on flag carrying map dynamics. And even with running it on flag carrying maps the past 2 seasons, I've averaged about a 50% overheal to my allies when it does hit for me. Still evaluating more statistics, Thrash continues to be one of the biggest damage dealing outputs for us, and we are now modifying it even more, doubling down into Flashing Claws to get up to 5 stacks, plus the 20% ability to proc casts, Untamed Savagery to increase damage and range, and Unchecked Aggression to increase haste by 15% when incarned, and the cost reduction to Maul to help us keep up our tier stat health boost. These all play into Ursoc's Fury, giving you an absorbed shield of 60% of the damage dealt by Thrash and Maul. It is also of note if the enemy comp is melee heavy, taking Rend and Tear instead of Untamed Savagery will give you up to a 10% damage reduction on targets hit, while also increasing your damage to them. Well, there you have your down and dirty PvP Guardian update. The class and spec continue to move in a good direction, and now that augmentation invokers are a thing, I'm sure we're going to see some broken play, especially on flag maps. Anyways, if you've enjoyed what you've seen today and would like to see more, please subscribe and follow, as about 92% of you aren't, and I'm trying to convince my wife to let me keep my beard as the people on the internet supposedly love it. Thank you so much for joining me. Moosin out.